Hello everyone, my name is Araimi, and today I'll be presenting this presentation on assessing the level of livability in commercial streets in a Gulf, a mixed methodology applied on the streets of Muscat as part of the Livable Cities London Conference. So the outline of this presentation will start with the introduction, move to the research problem, then we'll talk about the aims and objectives, we'll move to the methodology, we'll also showcase the results, then the discussion, the conclusion, acknowledgement, and references. So as we can see, cities are complex systems composed of large numbers of interconnected elements. Relations among the physical parts of these systems, blocks, plots, streets, buildings, trees, trails, furniture, etc., constantly changing and reshaping urban life. Spatial patterns of urban form can be identified from the relations between the physical parts of cities. Such patterns affect the livability of urban spaces, although there is no consensus over the objective of definition of urban livability. It can be generally defined as the ability of cities to fulfill expectations of its inhabitants for well-being and quality of life. So urban livability is the ability of cities to fulfill the expectations of its inhabitants for well-being and quality of life, as I've said before. Um, so if we talk about how livability is measured, actually livability is measured through indicators. These indicators are a set of measures which describe a complex economic, social, or physical reality. They act as an instrument to inform us of the performance level, and from it we use quantitative data collected over time and identify trends and aid in the assessment of the improvement and can change over time to signify on first, new data availability, significance, or society development. So if we talk about livable cities, what makes a good city? This is an important question to ask. And these are sense, fit, vitality, access, and control. That's what was defined by Lynch. And on the other side, the five Lynchian dimensions plus viability makes also a livable cities according to Balsas. So the characteristics of a livable environment can be also defined by having pedestrian-oriented public realm, slow traffic speed, volume, and congestion, affordable, decent, and well-located housing, schools, shops, and services, accessible parks and open spaces, a natural, clean environment, and secure places that feel accepting to the users. So, if we talk about the excessive use of vehicles in one's lifestyle, uh, and which people have experienced, this actually lowered the pedestrian features within the cities, and thus urban planners and developers are trying constantly to improve the walkable environment by enforcing pedestrian areas in their urban planning models and new developments. As such, livability is also an integral part of sustainable urban development, and this is also seen through the direct correlation with walkability and connectivity. Um, for that to and the enhancement of livability within neighborhoods requires providing walkways for pedestrians, increasing the connectivity, enhancing outdoor features, improving the building aesthetics, and use of proper lighting, which would lead to improving the socializing level within the neighborhood and thus attain the required livability standard. So people who live near high traffic streets have lower perception to livability. That's according to Appleyard. And urban planners are facing challenges when designing residential neighborhoods along heavy congested streets that are a source of noise and pollution to the inhabitants. And thus, it is important to shift neighborhoods away from streets of heavy traffic, and keeping them distant from the main arterials would be a solution to reach the desired livability. So if we look at the street retail in Oman, here are some examples of street retails in Ruwi, Al Khawd, and Al Moj. The lack of proper guidelines lead to street retails that does not have a common architectural language. Differences are noticed in these three examples, which I mentioned. Al-Moj is a properly designed development, thus the architectural appearance and features were carefully studied to match the Omani architecture, while the others actually lack on those characteristics and features. On the other hand, if we look at examples from the West, London, in Germany and in the US, these beautiful retail streets are a result of the strict design and building guidelines which these countries follow. Proper lighting, design, properly paved sidewalks, beautifully designed buildings that follow a common language adds to the value of these streets. So if we see here the 12 urban quality criteria developed by Gale represents a vital tool for designing urban public spaces that can be pleasant and welcoming by guaranteeing that they effectively meet the basic requirements of protection, comfort, and enjoyment for their users. With Gale Institute international expertise, these criteria are generalized and reasonable enough to be applied at an urban level in a modern city. However, one could claim that making a public space pleasant does not inevitably lead it to be becoming particularly meaningful, which often depends on close and longer-term involvement with the local community. The design of meaningful spaces would therefore require an environment that allows dynamic involvement by members of the local community in co-designing specific features for the space and their consequent adaptation over time. And as Gale says, cities are meant for people, therefore human factors should be considered. So the research problem is that there is a gap in the current research regarding the study of livable neighborhoods, particularly in Muscat. There is no study that has been done to measure or assess livability on the streets of Muscat. Nowadays, healthy, livable human cities are a matter of concern for researchers and urban planners, and livability is not taken into consideration. The limitation of well-maintained outdoor walkable areas, especially of outdoor shopping, needs to be also enhanced. There's also a need to promote on sustainable environment and livable spaces. So the aim of the study is to investigate the level of livability in neighborhood commercial streets of Muscat. And we've defined three main objectives. The first one is to determine the level of livability by assessing the physical characteristics of the given space. The second one is understand the factors which enhance the people's presence in neighborhood commercial streets, validate Gale's criteria for the urban quality. The third one is examine the advantage of reformulating the souk character and enhancing the livability in neighborhood commercial streets. The research questions were: what is the level of livability in neighborhood commercial streets of Muscat, and does it meet the inhabitants' expectations? What are factors that affect the level of livability in neighborhood commercial streets? And to which extent does reformulating the souk character increase the livability of commercial streets? So if we looked into this methodology, which is a multi-layered methodology, and our research is more of an exploratory type of research, we opt for a complex methodology. So we have the title of our research, and the aim is to enhance the level of livability in commercial street. And these are the three objectives that I've mentioned earlier, and the research questions. Moving into, we studied the literature, and we did a comprehensive literature review. Gale's 12 urban quality criteria and urban spaces we took a thematic approach with indicators from a checklist developed by Ghazi and Abbas. We also identified three case studies, which are Souk Matrah, a very well-known souk here in Oman, the walk now, which is called Al Moj now, a touristic integrated development, and the commercial street in Al Khod, which is the common type of commercial street that you would find around the city. Then we applied our research methodology, which we had three different methods. We used a questionnaire, a walkthrough, and behavioral mapping. And from them, we collected the data. The questionnaire, we followed a non-thematic based and a thematic based questionnaire, while the behavioral mapping, we generated behavioral maps and compared people at different times through counting them at different days. And walkthroughs, we identified the level of livability based on Gale's urban quality criteria using an evaluation tool developed by us. So the case studies, now we had the first case study was Matrah, a very well-known souk here in Oman, one of the most famous one. The walk, Al Moj in Muscat, the touristic integrated complex, and the commercial street in Al Khod. And here are the maps of each of these case studies and the areas highlighted in black. Moving to the questionnaire was generating using Google Forms. That was in August 2021. It was distributed to people via email and WhatsApp and SKU portal. Responses were accepted for 5 months between September 21 and January 22. The collected sample size was 101, which is based on a non-probability convenience sampling. 37.6% were male respondents and 62.4% were female. The dominant age group was between 26 to 35 years old, which was 46.5%. 80.2% were Omanis and 19.8% were non-Omanis. So the questionnaire had 8 different parts. The first one talked about the demographic background. Second one was about the sense of belonging in the neighborhood. The third one was livability in city streets. The fourth was to tell us more about your neighborhood. The fifth was on the level of livability in neighborhood streets of Muscat. The sixth was about personal experience in Souq Matrah. The seventh and eighth were about also personal experiences on Al Moj and the experience in Al Khawd commercial streets parallel to Mazoon Road. So the questionnaire was, as discussed, was based on a non-thematic based questions analysis that was directly using Google Forms. It was generated using Google Forms by charts and numbers. While the thematic based questionnaire analysis, we used the themes of Gale, and we added a fourth theme, which we called the amenities and complementary services and convenient design. That was based on the responses that we gathered from the questionnaire, on which we coded and numbered them. Then we categorized them under the urban quality criteria and also the indicators, which were based on the questionnaire coded responses. And then we came up with a total percentage of each theme identified. So the behavioral mapping method that was used was started with the preparation and registration, the observed activities of the users of the space, and also the graphic representation and the data analysis. In our case, we had generated maps, and we did the counting for the users while they were in dynamic and in a static form. And the time intervals were at 3 different timings as well. We also identified 2 different points at each case study in which the behavioral mapping will take place. And for students, for architecture and urban design students participated in this part under our supervision. People count on each side were taken and behavioral maps were generated based on the people behavior. And 3 different timings were chosen, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and from 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. and from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m. for both points on Saturdays and Sundays, and each counting interval was for 10 minutes. So I had explained this part. And people were counted based on being static or dynamic, in which they were moving, and behavioral maps were generated accordingly. The third and final method that we used also was the walkthrough. The path of the walkthrough is defined here in the yellow color. So identify the walking path for each of the case study. The walkthrough protocol was explained to the participant in each round. The first round of walkthrough, 3 professionals from the field took part, and I also took part in this walkthrough method, and it was between the 7th of September to the 15th of October 2021. The second round of the walkthrough for architectural and urban planning students took part of it. It was between the 20th till the 21st of November. To come up with a quantitative data for the walkthrough to assess the livability. Percentages and values were given to each site based on the assessment and will be explained in the following slide. The walkthrough assessment for both rounds for each site were then averaged and the percentage of livability was determined. Livability level was identified for each of these 3 sites. So based on the basis of the walkthrough checklist for the 3 case studies were based from this checklist that was developed by Ghazan Abbas in 2019. Also, we took the themes that were developed by Gale's 12 urban quality criteria to develop our walkthrough checklist. And from our checklist, we added a 4th theme, which was called amenities, complementary services, and convenient design. And we also added 2 other urban quality criteria, which are the opportunity to experience the cultural characteristics of the space, and also added another urban quality criteria called facilities. This was based on the responses that we've gathered from the questionnaire that made us add these urban quality criteria into the list. And therefore, this was the checklist that we've came up with, and it was distributed to the participant to assess the livability of the 3 different case studies based on the given urban quality criteria and the themes as well. This slide, we present the methodology used to come up with an equation to assess the level of livability in each of the sites, which was, this is the equation, C times 100 over 60, and 60 presents the total number of indicators in each walkthrough. And from this equation, we can see that if the site was given 75 out of, to 100, it has a very good livability level. If it's between 50 to 74, it's a good livability. And if it is between 25 to 49, it's an average livability. And if it's between 0 to 24, then it's the weak livability. And from this, the average of the 2 rounds of the walkthroughs were then considered. This is based on a system usability scale, and a similar methodology was used by Brook, and this method was validated by the committee of experts in the field. So now moving to the results section, we will start with the results of the behavioral mapping. So this is the land use map of Souq Matrah, in which the first behavioral mapping was conducted. And 2 points were chosen, which were point 2 and point 4. And as I discussed earlier, the behavioral mapping was done on a Saturday and on a Sunday on 2 different days, which are the 20th and the 21st of November of 2021, and on 3 different time intervals, which are the morning time, the afternoon, and in the evening time. And we also noted down the timings in which the behavioral mapping was done. This is also a section of Souq Matrah that shows the how the souq is in a sectional view. It has the main walkways and the shops on either side. And this is the first point, which is point 2, in which was the behavioral mapping was conducted on a weekday and on the weekend. It is actually the main entrance to the souq from Matrah Corniche. And if we look into the first behavioral mapping, this is the legend of the of our map. We have the sitting area is notated by a square, and then we have if the person is moving, it was annotated like this sign, and also if they were standing, talking, cycling. But we had mainly focused on people being sitting, which are in a static form, or walking, which was annotated by this sign. Also, we had here the charts, and these charts also change in each map. So you can see the numbers will change in the other maps as well, and also identifies the time in which the behavioral mapping was conducted. Okay, so the behavioral mapping was done at point 2, and the day was a Sunday, and it was at 10:45. And you can see how the people behaved in this space. I will move really fast in the upcoming slides so that you can see how the map changes based on the behavior of people in this site. So this is the other one on a Sunday at 2:45 p.m. This is the other map on a Sunday at 5:45 p.m. The same point. So this is the behavioral map on a Saturday at 10:45 a.m. and you can see how people behave in this point. And also this is at 12:45 p.m. on a Saturday. And this is also on a Saturday at 5:45 p.m. and you can see that there are more people coming to the souk from this point at this particular time. So this is the conclusion of the behavioral maps on Souk Matrah on the 2 different days, which are a Sunday and a Saturday, on 3 different time intervals. And just to mention, a Sunday here in Oman is a working day and a Saturday is considered as a weekend. So we can see that the maximum number of visitors are on a Saturday evening, which is shown here. Lesser people are seen in the afternoons on both Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. There is considerably a good amount of people who visit the souk during a Saturday morning and also on a Sunday evening. Hence, people, I believe, like to visit the souk when there is less, the weather is more pleasant in the evening time. So this is the Souk Matrah behavioral maps. Now we will check the point 4, and the similar methodology is followed. We're using it on a weekday and a weekend. And here's the map. This is on a Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. You can see the people's behavior and the counts as well. This is on a Sunday at 2:20 p.m. and this is on a Sunday at 6:15 p.m. This is on a Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and this is on a Saturday at 2:20 p.m. and on a Saturday at 6:15 p.m. You can see that the counts here have actually rised drastically. And this is also a conclusion on the behavioral maps at the 3 different time intervals during 2 different days, which are a Sunday and a Saturday. And we can conclude that mainly the maximum number of visitors were on a Saturday evening. Lesser people are seen during the afternoons on both Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. And there are actually a decent amount of people who visit the space during the morning time on both Sunday and Saturday and Sunday as well. So moving to the behavioral maps of the walk, which is in Al-Moj, the same methodology was followed. We chose two different points, the point between 1 and 2 and the point between 3 and 4, and the three different time intervals on a Saturday and a Sunday, which were the 20th of November and 21st of November. And for this, this is a section through the walk. You can see the promenade and the people walk through it. And then on either sides we have a mixed-use building, which is a commercial residential building, and mainly there are restaurants on the lower floor of these buildings. This is a view towards the walk, and you can see on a Saturday it is filled with people. There was an ongoing event which was called Souq al-Sabt during when we have conducted the behavioral maps, and on a Sunday there is no event going on. So these are the behavioral maps. This is on a Sunday at 10:20 a.m. and you can see there is a little number of people, not as much. And this is on Sunday at 1:20 p.m. The same, not many people are seen. This is on a Sunday at 5:45 p.m. and people tend to visit this place during the evening times. And this shows the how people are visiting the space during the event of Souq al-Sabt. This is a Saturday at 10:20 a.m. The event keeps on going on. This is also on a Saturday at 12:20 p.m. and this is on a Saturday at 5:20 p.m. Lesser people, there are lesser people, but still there is a movement. And Souq al-Sabt was from the morning till I think it was at 4 p.m. And these are the maps that were generated for the walk at points 1 and 2, and you can see that more people are seen on Saturday morning, which is quite interesting because there is an ongoing event, so more people visit this place. Although on evening times there's also more people, even if there is no event going on, but still people love to visit this area and space during the evening time because it is pleasant and they can enjoy in the restaurants. So moving to the other point, which is the point between 2 and 4, and this was on a Sunday morning at 10:20 a.m. I will go quickly through the other slide. This was on a Sunday at 1:20 p.m. and you can see the change in the people's behavior and movement. And this is also on a Sunday at 6:20 p.m. We can see the people's behavior here. This is on a Saturday at 11 a.m. and on a Saturday at 1 p.m. and this is on a Saturday at 6 p.m. So the same thing, more people are perceived in the evening times, lesser people in the morning and in the afternoon. And there was no activity going on here. That's why we can see that people visit this place more during the evening time. If we see this, this is the behavioral map which was done for the street and Al Khawda site. The same methodology was followed. like the ones in Al-Moj and Souq Matrah. We've defined two different points to conduct the behavioral mapping, which was the point between 1 and 2 and the point between 3 and 4, and this is similar time intervals. And this is a section through the site of Al-Khawd where the street is. So you can see this is the street area, and these are the buildings surrounding it. So there's a different type of buildings. Some are commercial buildings, some are commercial residential buildings, and also on the other side you can see some just residential buildings, but the section was taken through the commercial buildings and the commercial mixed-use buildings. These are some pictures of the site between the points 1 and 2. And this is the first behavioral mapping that shows the people movement on the street. Mainly people use their cars, but we had actually mapped the people who are walking and who are sitting in the area. This is on a Sunday at 9:10 a.m. and this is on a Sunday at 1 p.m. This is on a Sunday at 6:30 p.m. And here this is on a Saturday at 9:10 a.m. and this is on a Saturday at 1 p.m. and this is on a Saturday at 6:30 p.m. And you can see here the different maps, and still there are not many number of people using the street. Mainly they use their cars, but more people are seen in the area in the evening time. This map actually shows the users, the people who use the area using their cars. So just wanted to make a comparison and see the difference. So as you can see in the evening time, many people use their cars in this area. And this is also Al-Khawd, the behavioral mapping. We took the points between 3 and 4. The same thing was followed. So this was on a Sunday at 9:30 a.m. And this is on Sunday at 2:40 p.m. This is on Sunday at 6:45 p.m. This is the behavior of people on Saturday at 9:30 a.m., at 2:40 p.m., and at 6:45 p.m. So as you can see, it's the same thing. Less users. There are not many people who are walking or sitting at the areas. But if we look at the car users, there are actually more car users of this area during the evening time. Here's a summary of the behavioral mapping of the three sites showing the average counts of people. So if we can see that the highest number of people are in Souq Matrah and Al-Moj also. Al-Moj had also the highest count on the weekend of 437 people, and that was actually due to the event of Souq al-Sabt. But practically speaking, Souq Matrah would have more visitors if Souq al-Sabt was not going on at that time period. As we can see, we can give Matrah the highest count of people, and then secondly would be Al-Moj, and the least count of people would be in Al-Khawd. Moving to the walkthrough results. So the walkthrough results, we have in Souq Matrah, we had the first round of walkthroughs, the second round of walkthroughs, and the average walkthroughs. So for the first round of walkthroughs, it was given a weak livability. The second round was an average livability. Souq Matrah was given an average livability. We came up with this based on an equation which was used, and it's shown here, was the total number of indicators multiplied by 100 and divided by 60, which is the number of indicators, and that's why we came up with these values. Here we can see سوق مطرح based on the themes and the indicators. The walkthrough and questionnaire results of protection theme didn't have any relation. The urban quality criteria, the opportunity to explore the cultural characteristics of space, was given the highest percentage in the walkthrough, which was 53.13%. By relating this with the answers from the questionnaire, a relation is seen with the same urban quality criteria in which it was given the highest percentage of 40.34%. There is also a relation between the urban quality criteria of scale. Both the walkthrough results and the questionnaire gave it a 0 percentage. Also, if we move to Al-Moj was given in the first round of walkthrough with a very good livability. In the second round, it was also given a very good livability, and the average was having a very good livability. So the results of the walkthroughs have given all the urban quality criteria a percentage more than 65%. There seems no relation between the walkthrough results and the questionnaires for the walk in Al-Moj. Also for Al-Khod site, it was given a weak livability for the first round, and the second round it was given an average livability, but on average it has a weak livability compared to the other two sites. And Al-Khod, according to the walkthrough analysis, was the site with the least livable level. There is a clear indication that the urban quality criteria in this street do not meet the livability level which people seek for. A street doesn't hold any sense of culture value and doesn't have a sense of place. The building proportions are out of scale, and thus you feel lost within the commercial streets. The street is linear. Visual options was given the highest percentage since it was a linear street. So this shows the percentage of urban quality criteria based on the walkthrough results for the 3 case studies. And as you can see, the whole site, which is in blue, the walk site, which is in orange, and Souq Matrah, which is in gray. And as we can see that the walk was given the highest livable percentages for its urban quality criteria, and this is because the walk is an ITC development. That's why there are more a lot of considerations are taken into account when it comes to the urban quality criteria. In conclusion, so the aim to investigate the level of livability in neighborhood commercial streets of Muscat with the 3 given objectives and the research questions which I mentioned earlier. And the conclusion is that our research revealed that there is a weakness in the level of livability in average commercial streets of Muscat. The thematic analysis done for the 3 case studies concluded that the criteria set by Gale are very generic and they should be specified more by using criteria and indicators that fit the context of the studied country, in our case Oman. The opportunity to explore the cultural characteristic of space is among the important urban quality criteria to consider when designing commercial streets. By reformulating the Souq cultural characteristic into modern commercial street designs, livability could be enhanced. This work was supported by Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC, Emirates NBD, Sharjah Electricity Work and Gas Authority, SEWA, and Dubai Electricity and Water Authority R&D Center as the sponsors of the third forum for Women in Research هو Women Empowerment for Global Impact at University of Sharjah level. These are the references, and thank you very much.